Hi, this is Bill Punch. This is one of a continuing set of videos for Michigan State University's Introduction to Computer Science Using Python CSE 231. Today we're going to talk about a little more detail on if statements. In particular, we're going to look at nested if statements and how we can interpret those. Let's go ahead and get started. So we've talked quite a bit about if statements in general. And we've gone through some examples, but what we haven't talked about is something called a nested if statement. And so a nested if statement is an if statement whose suite also contains another if statement. Now, you'll remember this picture from before, and what we're talking about here is the fact that we really haven't discussed much what can be inside of any one of these suites. And if it turns out that inside of one of those suites is another if statement, what that means and how we can tell that apart from a regular if statement. So this may be our general form, but we just want to go through a little more detail what a nested if statement would look like. And here's one right now. And rather than go through just exactly what this means, what I'd like you to do is notice a couple of things. Here we are. This is the outer level of indentation, which means this is the level of indentation for the main program. This else belongs to this if, and this elif belongs to this if. They're all part of the same group. Underneath that, this group is the suite for this elif. It's indented at the same level underneath this header statement ending with a colon. So this entire suite would be executed, right, when this condition is true. For the else statement below, let me scroll up a little bit. This suite, all indented to the same level, belongs to this else statement. And so this entire suite is going to be executed if the else clause becomes true, nothing else becomes true. So you can always ask yourself the question, all right, who does that else belong to? It has to be part of an if. Is it part of this if? Is it part of this if? Is it part of this if? This else belongs to this if. They're at the same indentation level. Also, this if belongs to elif, rather, belongs to the if. They're at the same indentation level. We have to train our minds to look at these indentation levels so we can tell what belongs to what. Right? This group here belongs to this else. And so if we were to execute this, let's take a look. We set a number. In this case, it's 27. Notice that this comment at the top says, all the variables are integers here. There's no need to put the type info at the end of each variable. We can do that to make things easier to read. So if we're dealing with only integers, that works great. So number is 27. Let's go through all the potential evaluations of what we might do. So is the number less than 0? It's not. So this entire clause is ignored. Is the number with a remainder of 2 equal to 0? This is a question of, is it even? Yes. So if you divide a number by 2 and the remainder is 0, then the number must be even. So is 27 even? No. So this entire suite is ignored. Which leaves us with then, if this suite isn't true and this suite isn't true, it must be this one. So we're going to execute this suite. In that suite, we're now going to ask ourselves another question. If the number is equal to 1, it's not. It's 27. That isn't it. So this suite is skipped. We're in the else clause now. Then we print the values number with an end, and then it's odd. I can't remember if I've mentioned this before, but it's worth mentioning one more time. This special end group tells us how we end a line. Normally when we end a line, we end it with a carriage return. Here we said, look, when we end this line, we want to put a space at the end. So these two print statements are going to end up on the same line. So let's go ahead and execute this and see if we got what we wanted. It is. We said the value of 27 is odd. Right? Print it out with this whole line as one line, and we play the underneath. Thanks for playing. Let's change it. Let's make it 36. Let's think of again how we're going to execute this. Is it less than 0? No, we're going to skip that. Is it even? That is, if I take the number divided by 2 and look at the remainder, is it 0? It is even. So we're going to run this suite. Right? That's the positive suite. Now we ask the question, is the number 2? It's not. Is the number 0? It's not. So we're on the else part of this suite. The value number with an n like before is even. Let's go ahead and run it. Valid 36. Thanks for playing. What I really want to point out to you is that you need to understand the indentation level to understand what piece belongs where. We want you to take a look at this example, try it with a couple of different inputs, see if you understand the result. In summary then, there's 2 things to remember. Number 1, Python is very picky about indentation, and it tells you what belongs to what. This indentation is the same, belongs to the thing it's indented under. And 2, elements of the suite must be indented to the same level. Python's very picky about that.